How goes shredheads? Today I am here to talk to you about tube amps versus solid state amps versus modelers, and I'm redoing this video because the last one sucked. The audio was the worst audio I've ever heard in my life. Looking at the stats, it was like a complete drop in watching the video when it came to it. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this with the best audio I can. That's why I got the lapel mic again, and I got my guitar going through a modeler, through my PC, and it has the best quality for video. So that's what I'm doing today. None of this bad audio crap. Today we're doing it fresh, we're doing it great, and let's get on with it. Tube amps versus solid states versus modelers. What do I think of these babies? I think they're all great tools and they all work really well for their specific job. A lot of people are really into tube amps. They're so into tube amps. They're so into the romanticized idea of using a tube amp for everything. Those people are great. They're beautiful people. But to me, as a functional musician, trying to like do things, trying to make the best out of my time, the best out of the art I can, and I know you are too, I like to use a whole plethora of different tools. And for tube amps, I think the best thing they do is they just push air. They feel really good. They have that warm, analog, beautiful, solid kind of that sound, that full freaking sound. It's what a real amp sounds like. Not to say that the other amps aren't real, but it's the best of the best. And I think if you're the guy that wants the best of the best, you want that beautiful, luscious, like, yeah, this is guitar. When you play a power chord, I know this is modeler, but when you play a power chord, you can really feel it. You're like, yeah, that is the power chord. And I think if you're a big guy in a big concert, go with a tube amp, especially if you can get a guy to maintain it. That's the problem with tube amps. That's the problem I always had with tube amps. It's like, I don't like to maintain them. I'm not a high maintenance guy. Like, I don't like to fiddle around with things too much. That's why I like the Mesa Boogie, because it's a nice middle ground, because it's all tube, but the tubes are self-biased. You just plop them in every year or so, and you plop them in like a light bulb, and they work, and they sound great, and they do all of the sounds I really want out of the guitar. High gain, low gain, and clean, which is what I want. Anyway, let's get on with the solid state. What is solid state good for? Solid state is probably the most reliable, they're probably the most reliable amps I've ever seen used in my life. I use one every day for practicing. I use the Orange Crush 12, and I just click it on and off like 90,000 times a day because I am the ADHD kind of guy. I like to just do plethoras and multitudes of things throughout the day, and a lot of times I will freaking turn on the guitar when I get bored, and I just play to my little heart's content, and until I get sick of it, and then I go do something else, and then I keep coming back. And I've had the Marshall MG10 for years, and I did the same thing. And now I have the Orange Crush 12, and I did the same thing. And I've never had a problem with either one of those. Alongside that, when I had a live band, I used a solid state amp, as well as this Natty TD1 up here, which is a nice tube preamp sound going into the solid state, and had a very great, it had a beautiful sound, and it was very reliable. And that's one thing I really like about solid state. On top of that, solid state is just way lighter than a tube amp. Tube amps like this amp is freaking like 90,000 pounds. Like, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're not gonna have an easy time carrying this baby around to gigs. And solid state is just so much easier to move around, as well as just, it's a nice, reliable amp. And I think even as a backup amp, like if you're doing the whole tube amp thing, having a solid state as a backup will work wonders for you. The only people I know who really care about gear when you're playing a live gig are musicians themselves. And to be more specific, it's usually guitarists, but everybody else doesn't really care. The audience are full of casual normies, whatever you want to call them, and they're just there to have fun, to be entertained, to enjoy the music. The tone, as long as it's not an ice pick in the forehead, they're going to be happy with it. As long as you can play the songs and they can have a fun time. That's what they care about. So sometimes when it comes to just playing live, just go solid state. On top of that, another thing I notice is that the voltage has a tendency with tube amps to change the way it sounds. You're never going to get like the most consistent sound with a tube amp. You get close, like this Mesa Boogie, it's going to generally sound the way it does no matter what voltage you go on, but there's still an inconsistency to it that solid state amps don't have. They don't really rely too much on voltage as much. Solid state is just very consistent and reliable the entire time, and I think that's a point for solid state. They're very consistent, reliable amps, but are they the most exciting amps? No, not really, but they work really well and they do what they do, and I think they're great. Lastly, we got modelers. Modelers are awesome, especially for recording. Got to play a power chord every now and then. They're especially great for recording because if you've ever freaking mic'd a guitar amp to get it to sound awesome in a recording, you will know that it takes a long time and a lot of experimenting. I tried my absolute best when it came to miking and becoming a producer, doing the producer type of thing for months, and honestly I'm not good at it, and I just do not have the time for it, especially when it comes to making music, practicing, making videos, all this stuff. I really just had to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what works for me, and that is using modelers. I think the difference between a mic'd guitar amp and using a modeler for recording is so small. It's such a small thing, especially nowadays that modelers have gotten better and we've gotten better cab emulation, that it's so small that I don't even see the point. It's the only point to do it would be if you're a romantic about the analog sound of back in ye olden days, and I totally get that. I am a romantic as well at heart, and I love the sound of analog recordings. They are my favorite recordings of all time. There's nothing more beautiful than the Roth era Van Halen to me, and like, I don't know, they have a very specific sound to it, and it's very warm and beautiful and organic. I get that, but in modern day, in modern day, it's not as convenient and it's not as easy, and the competition is fierce, and it is it's just not as reliable as modelers. So what I like to believe in is a hybrid between old school and new school. Like this guitar is basically old school and new school. And I like that attitude. I like that idea. Let me hit this tuner pedal so it stops making noise when I shake the guitar. Anyway, I like that concept of using the best of the old and the best of the new and just smashing them together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's just beautiful to eat. So full, so satisfying. I love the taste of that PB&J in my mouth. Anyway, what was I saying? Like the best of both worlds, and then smash them together into something beautiful and new. And that's what I like about modelers. They're new, they're fresh, and they make things more convenient. The sound quality may not be as good as a tube amp perfectly mic'd, but the amount of effort that it takes to get a sound very, very close is so much more minimal. You got to look at it in the cost-benefit analysis, and that's what I did. And that's why I use modelers for recording, because they just sound really well. And they're really good for practicing as well. I use the Chord Pandora every day. I know it's an old modeler. It doesn't sound as good as some of the VSTs and all this stuff today, but it still works really, really well for what I need it for practice. And that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I think I hit every mark I needed to hit with this topic. If you have any questions, or if you want to talk about tube amps, solid state, or modelers down below, let me know. Maybe I could carry this video on to another flagrant, whatever that word is, the next road to the tube amp, solid state, modeler conversation. And thank you so much for watching.